So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where Bulgaria forms an empire. Now there have been two Bulgarian empires before. There's been one that started in 681 and ended in 1018, and the second Bulgarian empire which started in 1185 and ended in 1396. That was a very long time ago. So today Bulgaria is going to be forming themselves a modern empire on the modern world map. If you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers relatively soon. We do offer a membership program that gives you early access to each and every one of my videos, and I also recommend joining our newer Discord server, link to that in the description. But let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So Bulgaria has just elected a brand new president, a new emperor maybe, and they're going to go ahead and say that Bulgaria is too small. We need more land, we need more space. But in order for this video to actually even happen, we have to go ahead and ignore this thing called NATO, because if Bulgaria were to attack any of their neighbors aside from Serbia, they would get jumped by 31 other countries, and that would ruin the video. So we're gonna have that not happen. So bye-bye NATO, and hello Bulgarian Empire. It's time for the first war. And the country that makes the most sense for Bulgaria to invade first is North Macedonia. Now, Bulgaria isn't the biggest fan of North Macedonia in real life, even if they're both NATO countries. And I do believe that stems from border disputes with North Macedonia. So yeah, Bulgaria is gonna wanna go ahead and settle those disputes, and maybe even a little bit more. But the Bulgarians will begin to move into North Macedonia, but the unpopularity of this country is going to be revealed very soon, because another country joins in, and that country is Greece. Now, if you have any knowledge on geopolitics or just countries in general, you'll know that Greece and North Macedonia don't like each other, but more so Greece doesn't like North Macedonia because of its name, or its former name, which was just Macedonia. They did recently change their name to North Macedonia within the past decade, I believe, and that's because Greece was really mad that they were called Macedonia. If you don't know, there's a region in Greece called Macedonia that is right in this area, and I guess Greece just didn't want to have another country sharing the name. But I do believe that they're still like not friendly with each other even now. So yeah, they're getting jumped by not only Bulgaria but also Greece. So eventually these two countries will go ahead and fully occupy all of North Macedonia, and now they will sit down at a peace conference to divide up the country officially. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So in this treaty here, we can see that Bulgaria and Greece will fairly evenly split North Macedonia. Greece does get a little bit more land here than Bulgaria does, and that's probably thanks to the province map that is kind of messed up here. But you know, if Bulgaria ever wants a little bit more land, then they have the opportunity to do exactly that. But at this point, the emperor of Bulgaria is not satisfied with the land he has so far. I mean, there's only just a little piece of land from North Macedonia, and sure, you know, you settle that border dispute you have with them, but there's always room for more, well, room. They want more space to live in, just not in the bad far right way. So Bulgaria is now going to go ahead and look at all of their neighbors. They have Greece, which is probably stronger than them. They have Turkey, stronger than them. They have Romania, also stronger than them. And then there's Serbia, who is also stronger than them, I believe. But there's just a little bit of an issue with Serbia, and that is that Serbia is much like North Macedonia. They're not liked by a ton of their neighbors. Now, they do hold good relations with Greece. They hold good relations with Romania. But as for the other countries to their south, like Albania, and over here to the west, like Croatia and Slovenia, and even to an extent Bosnia and Herzegovina, the relations could be better. And of course, Bulgaria knows this. They're a Balkan country after all. They want to stir up the drama just a little bit. So they're going to be going over here to Croatia, and they're going to be going down here to Albania, and they're going to be proposing a coalition against Serbia. You know damn well Albania is joining that, but Croatia will also join because they do have some historical land up here in the northern area. So does Hungary, but Croatia is going to get the first dibs. So eventually Bulgaria is going to go ahead and declare a war on Serbia, and they will call the other coalition members into the war, which also includes Kosovo, who joins by default due to the fact that their existence is in question to the Serbians, but not for much longer. Now, notably, all three of these countries do recognize the country of Kosovo, while some other countries around here, like Romania and Greece, do not recognize Kosovo, so this coalition makes even more sense. But when the time comes to officially fight the war, things are not going to go so well for Serbia, who is fighting a multi-front war, especially up here in the north where Croatia is pushing in, but also down here where the Albanians and the Bulgarians are pushing in. Bulgaria will focus a majority of its army over here in the southeastern area, pushing up against this river that runs right through the middle of Serbia, while on the other hand, Albania and Kosovo will work on pushing up against the other side. This joint military effort does go pretty good, but up here in the north, Croatia is all on their own, and against the northern Serbian armies that are defending their capital city, they do have a little bit of trouble. As for back down here in the south though, things could not be going any better for Bulgaria, as they go ahead and take over this entire southeastern area / central area of Serbia. I almost said Kosovo. That'd make people even a little bit more madder than they already are in the comments. comments. But now Bulgaria sends their army across the river to help out the Albanians, who at this point are nearing the capital city of Serbia, which of course is Belgrade. Now that's like the English pronunciation, or the American pronunciation at least. Is it Belgrade in Serbian? Or I mean, of course in Serbian it's going to sound way different than what it would in English, but what's the proper English pronunciation of Serbia's capital, which is Belgrade or Belgrade? One of the two, maybe. I do enjoy asking you guys these questions because, I mean, of course I can just look it up, but I also like seeing your guys' insight as well because that's just more interaction. So let me know in the comments, what is the proper pronunciation of Serbia's capital name, both in Serbian and also in English? Anyway, though, as you can see, their capital city, whatever its pronunciation is in red team territory, and thus Serbia will be surrendering. Now, Serbia does have a few allies in Europe, most notably big old Russia over here, but Russia is quite far away from where this conflict is taking place, and I don't think Greece or Romania would have any interest in getting involved. Even if they do hold, semi-good relations with Serbia, I think they're probably going to pass on joining this war. So let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. And in this treaty here, we can see that there are some pretty simple new borders drawn up here in Europe. But I would agree with some of you that this looks horrible. We're gonna have to deal with it for now though. Anyway, as you can see, Bulgaria goes ahead and annexes a large portion of Serbia, more specifically their southeastern region, adding to the new Bulgarian Empire. But as for the other two countries that were involved in the coalition, we see Croatia gets the northern half of Serbia, and then as for Albania, Kosovo gets its independence, but not far after that happens, we see Albania and Kosovo unite anyway. It's a relatively similar ethnic group, if not the same, therefore this just makes sense. Albania is Kosovo's biggest ally in real life, and they're going to be uniting together. Now, I just want to go a little bit off topic real quick. I do want to say that, like, out of all of the controversial regions in the world, like the Middle East is controversial, South Asia is controversial. I get a lot of hate from all those other areas, but like the Balkans, I barely get any like hate. Maybe sometimes from Serbia specifically, and it's usually thanks to this thing. But like usually people from the Balkans that comment on the videos are like, this is pretty accurate, because usually I just blow up the Balkans in my videos because I mean that's what would happen in real life if they just didn't have NATO and we're just a little bit more war hungry, I guess. But yeah, thank you to my Balkan viewers for not wanting me dead as bad as some other regions in the world. I appreciate it. Anyway, now continuing on with our Bulgarian Empire, things are getting a little bit tougher here because you're not going to invade Kosovo/Albania. I don't think you would want to do that. You just worked a coalition with them, therefore they're on kind of friendly terms. You can't go to war with Serbia again. You have a peace treaty with them, so your only options now are Romania, Greece, and Turkey. That is a pretty hefty lineup here for Bulgaria. Turkey and Greece are very strong countries with a lot of personnel in their military. Romania is a very strong country as well on its own. And against Bulgaria, that war might be pretty similar at this point because we have to assume that Bulgaria has been building up their economy and also building up their military far beyond what they have in real life. So maybe a war with Romania would be pretty even. But there is another route that Bulgaria wants to take, and it's once again with the help of another country. They're going to be forming yet another coalition, and this time they're forming it with Turkey. I think we all know where this is going. Despite working together with Greek forces earlier on in the video to take out North Macedonia, Bulgaria is going to go ahead and declare war on Greece. And of course, right after this happens, they're going to be bringing in their new ally into the war. Turkey will join the coalition, and Greece is about to get jumped. Now, like I was saying, Greece is pretty capable on their own. Their military personnel size is around 500,000, including the reserved. And in a war like this against Turkey, of course, Greece is going to activate their reserve to fight. Now, as for Turkey, they have a lot more, roughly 800,000 total personnel. And then as for Bulgaria, we kind of have to guess at this point because they've been super buffed and also have been gaining a lot of power with all this land they've annexed. Now, these two countries will go ahead and work together to capture the city of Thessaloniki. And after taking over the panhandle of Greece, the Turkish Navy will go ahead and start operations to start taking over these Greek islands. Now, I do believe that the Greek Navy is also pretty good for what Greece, the size of Greece is. But then again, you're going up against Turkey, and Turkey is a lot stronger than Greece is. The island of Crete would be very difficult to capture, but I doubt Greece would spend too much of their forces defending it, so therefore Turkey is going to go ahead and capture it anyway. And now the main forces of the Turkish Navy are island hopping over here towards their capital of Athens. Back up north, the Bulgarian army as well as some Turkish divisions are working their way down the Greek peninsula. They are having a little bit of issues navigating the harsh terrain of the Greek peninsula, as this mountainous center does provide some difficulty for the relatively untrained Bulgarian army for that geographic type. But a country that is very familiar with navigating mountainous terrain is Turkey, and when their forces finally get back, it goes like this. The Greeks are now limited to their capital city as well as their southern island, and eventually the forces will knock on the door of Athens and take one of the most historical cities in the world. Followed by this is a few brief military landings on this island, or it might be a peninsula, but nonetheless Greece is going to go ahead and surrender here. I think this might be connected right here. Could be wrong though. I don't remember if it's an island or a peninsula. But that doesn't matter now because Greece has been defeated, and let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty where Bulgaria and Turkey will divide up Greece. And in this treaty here, we can see that Greece is massacred. It looks horrible, but it does make sense when you break it down. So Turkey will be getting this piece of land over here, this furthest area. Is it in Macedonia? It might be in Macedonia. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greeks. But they get this section of land from Greece, and then as for the rest, Bulgaria will be getting a majority of the peninsula, but they also fully annex all of North Macedonia now. And as for the remaining areas of Greece, this is all annexed by Turkey, so that includes all of these islands down here in the Aegean Sea, as well as, like I just said, this remaining tip of Greece, including Athens. So relatively, Turkey did get more valuable land in this war, but at the same time, it's more likely than not that Turkey did more work than Bulgaria did, so it's not too far-fetched at this point. Anyway, the Bulgarian Empire still isn't satisfied. It needs more land, and this time, it's going to attack yet another country that it worked with previously. Now, just before the Greek War, I did say Bulgaria wouldn't attack Albania because they just worked together, but I guess things have changed, and now Bulgaria wants to go ahead and attack Albania because maybe they want more land along the Adriatic Sea, or maybe just more land around the Mediterranean Sea in general. So now Bulgarian forces turn their guns up north and start to invade into Albania, who is bewildered by this. Is any country going to come to the aid of Albania? No, it's a sad day for Albania. They'll lose their capital city as well as the major city of Pristina, which was the previous capital of Kosovo. And eventually Bulgarian forces will take out this entire country. This was a very, I don't want to say easy war because no wars are easy. You lose a lot of people no matter what. But it was a very simple war compared to some of the other wars that Bulgaria has been fighting, like the war against Greece or the war against Serbia. But now it's time for the peace treaty. And yeah, that's also pretty simple. They just fully annex all of Albania and Kosovo. And this is what our Bulgarian Empire is looking like at this point. So far, so good. It actually looks like a pretty good Bulgarian Empire. Now, internally, this thing would not be very stable. There's a lot of different ethnic groups that are now involved in the empire, like the Greeks, the Albanians, and the Serbians. So it's a big melting pot of hate and hatred towards the government. But since this is Bulgaria's video, we're going to go ahead and say that maybe they, stamp down and squash those rebellions if there's any, and fix the civil unrest problem through all means. Anyway, though, Bulgaria is not going to be declaring war on any other countries, but another country is going to be declaring war on Bulgaria. Romania has seen enough. They are tired of Bulgaria's expansion, and they have a pretty good feeling that they can win this war against Bulgaria. Now, in terms of pure strength, Bulgaria has certainly surpassed Romania at this point, but Romania feels that if they get the jump on Bulgaria while they aren't prepared for a war, maybe they can reach Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria, and capitulate them pretty quickly. Let's put that theory to test. The Romanian army will now go ahead and start to seep down from their more populated capital area over here near Bucharest. And more specifically, they're going to go ahead and try to get all the way down here to this river that is far east of Sofia. My brain sometimes likes to process things very slowly. Once again, I haven't said this in a while because I've actually been doing pretty good at it, but for some reason, I just struggle with pointing out east and west immediately. I know this is east, I know this is west, but sometimes it just takes me a second, which is really weird because it's always left and right. The west is always on the left, the east is always on the right because this is a 2D map, but just, I don't know why. It just it doesn't process for me immediately. North and south, I'm fine with that. There's no issue there. It's just east and west. I couldn't tell you why. Anyway, though, enough about me possibly being dyslexic. I don't know if that's what that is, maybe. Romania is doing a damn good job here against Bulgaria. They're taking a ton of land and the Bulgarian army is taking a little bit of time to mobilize. Just kidding, they've mobilized and now they're pushing back Romania. It might have been a sweet little dream of Romania's, but it's quickly fading away as the superior Bulgarian forces begin to push back and more specifically head towards the capital of Romania up here in Bucharest. They'll complete a semi-encirclement within their own territory for accounting for this border, which actually doesn't equate to anything, but some of the Romanian forces will fall back in order to protect their capital city, because at this point we see Bulgarian forces cross the border and head straight towards that very Romanian city. They'll eventually pull all forces out of this area, which are kind of chased away in a way. While over here, Bulgaria doesn't really care because they're focused on Bucharest. The forces begin to pile up and move towards the city, but an unexpected event occurs as another country joins the war. Serbia wants revenge. And like I was saying earlier, Romania and Serbia are kind of friendly with each other. Serbia will begin to invade into Bulgarian territory and more so will focus on capturing the land across this river. They feel as if it's an important area to get. And a lot of the times what we see here is Serbia liberating villages and towns with open arms. This is, of course, their land after all. And Serbia opening up another front in this part of Romania was completely unexpected by Bulgaria, and the encirclement takes place up north after the Romanian division comes down and meets up with the Serbian divisions, and Bulgaria loses a ton of troops. At the same time though, they are able to stop the Serbians' expansion down the river and around towards Pristina, but back over in Romania, the Romanians are able to push back all of the Bulgarian forces. At this point, Bulgaria is still losing the war, but as it turns out, they were just planning to go ahead and have a counteroffensive take place in their most northeastern portion, which they kick all the Romanians out of. At this point, they're not really too worried about the Serbians because it's kind of like an annoying fly in your room. Like, yeah, cool, you're invading me, but you're not really doing too much damage. The main brunt of the Bulgarian forces is on the border of Romania again, and this time they're bringing in a little bit more of a punch and going straight towards Bucharest, which eventually they will be able to capture. Serbia didn't really see Romania folding like this. I mean, they have expended a lot of their forces trying to invade Bulgaria. They wanted this to be a very quick invasion, a very rapid invasion, a very fast taking of Sofia. That failed. They used a lot of forces in defense and offense in other areas, and that just kind of wore down their morale, wore down their resources, and also wore down their manpower. Whereas Bulgaria was a little bit more calculated in their response. They took the time to mobilize, even though they did lose land to Romania while that happened. But that has paid dividends here because, as you can see, they have captured the capital city. At this point, we also see some local Bulgarian forces pushing back against the Serbians, and more specifically, kicking back all of the Romanian army in this area, from which they will chase them back into their country. We also see Bulgarian forces enter in over here and follow the land to the east of this river. See, I just did it there. It took me a while to figure out the east thing. It's always on the right, and the west is always on the left. Why do I struggle with it? It doesn't make sense. It's the only thing that I really struggle with, like common stuff. Like left and right, I've never had an issue with left and right. East and west though, apparently that sucks. Shout out to the AdizzPro noggin, sometimes it doesn't like to work. Anyway, as you can see, the Romanians are getting obliterated in this war, and to make things worse, another country has joined, this time on the side of Bulgaria, and this country is Hungary. And the only reason Hungary joined is because they're hungry for some land, and more specifically, they're hungry for some Transylvania. I personally don't know how that tastes, but apparently it tastes pretty good for the Hungarians, who very rapidly flood into this region trying to retake what was technically once theirs but also kind of disputed. They eventually meet up with Bulgarian forces and cut Romania into two pieces. A little bit more war is fought here until eventually Romania is cut into three pieces, and it's at this point that Romania will make the decision to surrender. Seeing this, Serbia is going to go ahead and also surrender over to the Bulgarian Empire once more, and we can take a look at this peace treaty. And in this treaty here, we can see the Bulgarian Empire has come into full fruition. They have taken over pretty much all of their neighbors, aside from Turkey, but I don't think they want to mess with Turkey. And they have formed themselves a very decent looking empire. Now, as for Romania, they are reduced to just the northeast of their country. Hungary took a little bit more than just Transylvania, to be honest with you, and they're looking pretty good on their own. So we have kind of multiple empires happening in this video. We have the main course, which of course is Bulgaria, but Turkey also has a ton of land now. They'd more likely than not also be able to take over Cyprus. But then we have Croatia, who has become even longer, and then there's Hungary, who took over Transylvania. They would probably also try to target Slovakia and then, try to reform the Hungarian Empire. But as for the future of Romania, they really don't have too much going for them at this point, so they could unite with Moldova. Moldova used to be a part of Romania anyway, so it is possible. And then there's Serbia over here, who lost land. They're now kind of like a small microstate, even smaller than Montenegro at this point. So not that matters, but that does it for the Bulgarian Empire. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know what you thought about this scenario down in the comments below, and let me know what other empires you want to see. Just PS, make sure to look up the empire you suggest before you suggest it, because more likely than not, I might have done it if it's a popular or, a larger populated country. But if I haven't done your country yet, let me know what you want to see the empire of down in the comments below. Also, just give me your general scenario video ideas. Like, what do you want to see next Monday? What do you want to see next Wednesday? So on and so forth. We are trying to get to 200,000 subscribers relatively soon. We're around 3,008 or 700 away, so that is getting really close. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new, but if you are already subscribed, there are other ways to help, such as liking this video and commenting, like I said earlier, down below. Sharing a video with a friend also helps out, maybe get them to subscribe as well. We do offer channel memberships with a ton of perks, such as getting early access to every single video. There's also a members only area of the Discord server. We recently just merged the member server and the main server together. So channel members, I haven't officially announced this yet, but if you are looking to get the special role in the new Discord server, you do have to make sure that your YouTube channel is linked to your Discord account. Otherwise, you won't be given the role automatically, but linking those two things together is pretty simple. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Serminator,
IC Static FN,
Jazzy Jerboa,
Chill Turn Mapping,
CTG on
Euroball,
YT,
Omega the YouTuber,
Vista
Nifauto
Mapper,
Garbage Trucks,
XanderPro,
WICSO,
WICSO,
7353,
Geo1010
Gamer,
Gamer, RS,
Australian
and
Geo
Golden Ball
Guy,
Mapping,
Augusto,
A Norwegian,
Electro,
Gail Martinez,
Zaylance,
Freezioid,
Laser Taze,
Pablo Sigma
Hammer
Cat,
Toad 45,
Death Strider X,
and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.